Welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happening's YouTube Atheist Community and Tiny Chat Fun. Last night, unfortunately, the technology failed to record my MP3. So if anybody has a copy of last night, I would appreciate them posting it or something. PM me, whatever, post a link, something. Because, it was actually pretty funny last night, I think. It wasn't really a great substance night, but it was kind of funny. So, I'd like to, I might even like to watch some parts of it again. The bandit stuff, maybe. That was pretty funny. So anyway, Tween Two guy was in the room, and, we sort of banter fairly well, so can be interesting. Yeah, it can be. I'm sorry, watering. So some of that's pretty good, I think. Works out pretty well. I think so. Considering it was very low substance, most of the conversation, but, I think it was not terrible. Is this on? Yeah, apparently. Anyway. Sorry, I just didn't realize things were as dry as they are. It's getting warmer here, and it seems there's a connection between how warm it gets and how much stuff dries out. It's, I don't know, I have to do a physics video on it or something. It seems a strange phenomenon. So everything is, it like shrivels up and dies if I don't water it. But some of these plants are weird like that anyway. They look all shriveled even when they're not. Well, whatever. That doesn't sound right. Anyway. Sprinkle. Okay, I know that's not relevant. Sorry. I really didn't intend to be distracted. So anyway. So otherwise, it was okay night. I don't think there was any stars of any kind. No, can't think of anything. I mean, nothing outstanding, just a usual night. I started off, I was late, as I fell asleep, and then I was really tired. But I did wake up as the night went on. It did get better. I'd almost call it enjoyable. Strange. I think that's the sensation anyway. Well, that's what I'll say it was. I'm not very familiar with that sensation, I guess we could say. So in other news, there isn't that much. Holiday posted some interesting videos. One of them was, couldn't hear it, so that was not a very good video. But he read from some book about socialism, and it just, it had so many of the themes I've talked about. Well, I mean, its primary theme was basically industry for the sake of industry, not for the sake of profit. You just create the industry and have people work for it. You can call it the state owns it, but, it really doesn't have anything to do with the state. And the real game is just getting rid of this inheritance thing. He doesn't use the word inheritance, but it's exactly what I've been saying. That you have a real game then. You get rid of inheritance. You have a real horse race. You don't have this mockery of a race. And so that was kind of interesting. In the context of the modern mystic making pretty poor videos lately. I mean, it's really nice. It's great that he's making videos, because I like the modern mystic and I like his videos, generally speaking. I like his whole presentation. But there just weren't very good videos. And just rationalizing the existence of the rich. These are the asparaguses. I mean, they really do, it's not only good food, but there really is a nice, I'm going to try to plant them in some different locations, because it is kind of a nice border fern hedge thing you can create out of them. I find it appealing. Ferns have a effect on the mind. These are my will-be hibiscuses. So far the deers have not molested them, so that's really good. Everything's really, plants are doing very well. They're just not flowering a lot yet. So another week or so, I mean, it really shouldn't be this far into the summer, before they flower, but you know, you can't have everything. Well, sometimes you can't have anything, but you know, that's another story. So anyway, back to the subject. So yeah, the MISC is making these rationalizations for the it leads somehow the benignness of the ultra rich, and you know, playing some statistical games that I think are beneath him, to make an argument, and the argument's just kind of lame. And he doesn't seem to understand. There's two concepts that are just seem. His last video was on interest rates, and it's like, you know, he's just basically saying, well, now it's all too complicated. He doesn't even say now. He just sort of implied like it was always too complicated. But you know, the whole connection between short-term rates and long-term rates and all this kind of stuff, there used to be a real hard connection, because the money in the Federal Reserve accounts actually meant something. Now, the reserve accounts don't mean anything. Essentially, banks, they don't even have to have minimum reserves anymore, because the Fed has basically decided to, what's the word? It's not extortion, but embezzlement. Yeah, the federal government's decided to get into the embezzlement game, and it's creating fake digits in banks. It's having the banks create fake digits to buy securities off the market. And the modern mystic won't concede that this is that you know, there's a one-to-one connection. This is a very direct connection between all of the substance of the increase in the stock market and the you know, the creation of this fake money. And that when these securities have been bought by the federal government, have to be sold, there's going to be a huge bust in the stock market. I mean, if I was to argue that there was some rich investor that was going to spend $4 trillion on real estate, everybody knows it'd be a huge real estate bubble. I mean, $4 trillion got moved into any market, any commodity. You just know it's going to create a huge bubble. And that's all this $4 trillion of fake digits has done. And, you know, not to concede that unraveling that, there's no way to unravel that. The economy will never be in a condition where the Fed can unravel that without disaster. If the economy's doing well, it'll create a recession, and if you're in a recession, it'll create a depression. So this is you know, there are final nails in the coffin. This is kind of a final nail in the coffin. $4 trillion of phony purchases of securities it just isn't going to be unfixed. There's not going to be any fix for that. That's going to be benign. That's not going to be malignant. It's going to kill the patient. Blah blah blah. So, but like, he won't even discuss that as if there's absolutely no connection between that money and a complete structural change in the market. So anyway, that's why interest rates don't mean anything anymore. Interest rates are no longer set by the Fed. Interest rates, they've already gone to zero essentially, and there's the market will dictate the interest rate, and going forward, it's going to become more and more obvious to lenders that if they lend money to somebody, they're likely to be paid back in inflated dollars that will be worth less, because there seems to be every indication that the federal government's going to have to print money in the future, actual cash. And that's bad for banks. And so banks have very little incentive to now, I mean, you're not going to go lower is all I'm saying. We've sort of lived on a refinancing bubble where everybody's gotten out of their horrible debt crisis by refinancing their debt and cutting a little bit off the rates and making it more survivable. But you're not going to be able to go any lower. You're not going to get free money somewhere as a lender. And so that's kind of over. You know, the rates are as low as they're going, and they're only going to go up from here. And, well, anyway, I didn't want to make an economics video, and there I did it. So anyway, not much else is news. I heard the TJ and Thunderfoot did one of those, Thunderfoot went to the Drunken Peasants or something, podcast, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I have to go watch that, I suppose, because there must be some completely imbecilic crap in there. It's just, you know, all these these scientists are just so phantasmagorical. Thunderfoot interviewed some scientist guy, so, you know, selling a book, of course, and you know, just silly talk about you know, life starting on some other planet, and came here as an extremophile and all this kind of bullshit. And, you know, it's just such nonsense. You know, it's so improbabilistic. And we certainly know from the genetic code that the origins of life on Earth was not an extremophile. You know, I mean, the genetics don't go to an extremophile and then get simpler from there. So, I mean, you got this whole problem of eukaryotic and well, you know what I mean. The two kinds of nucleuses. There's no way the simple organisms on Earth with a non-formed nucleus would survive space travel. So, I mean, this is a scientist. He says absolute crap. You know, I mean, it's crap. It doesn't take much analyzing of the hard evidence to demonstrate that what he's speculating can't be possible. It's not the way it happened on Earth. And yet they talk about it because it's a fun fantasy. And this is all over quantum physics. This is just, you know, now that, you know, biologists are doing it, they're all just talking shit. And they're supposed to be scientists. They're supposed to give a fuck about the truth, and they really don't. They just want to make the story interesting. They want to pretend that, you know, it's like it's all going back to the ebonics, the epigenetic crap, you know, the female part of the egg that it's not evolving because it's not part of the DNA, it's just part of the stuff you're given. As the cell splits, the DNA is one part of the thing that's transferred. The other stuff transferred is all this epigenetic goop that's in the female's egg, and so that stuff is split in half. In a sense, that it's not split in half literally, it's a portion of the old membrane, a portion of the plasma, all that kind of stuff is just transferred. Well, anyway, and you know, people want to believe that somehow that part of us is where all the magic is, and somehow we, by thinking certain thoughts and living a certain kind of life, that we can somehow change our own eggs and sperm into, you know, give them greater character. And, you know, that's where they want the story to go, instead of recognizing that the truth is that the only thing you can do is prevent damage. The only thing you can do is try to make your code, you know, not put dioxin in the plasma of your egg, not put toxic chemistry into your plasma. I mean, you can't do anything else but not fuck it up too much. Yeah, so, I mean, it's just, everything's just so veiled in all this lies and false premises and, you know, just wanting for it to be a better story. And it's just such bullshit. I was going to move to different locations, and I forgot to do that. And so I'm going to move to a different location, just because that's what I planned on doing. Very nice in here with all these pachysandras. Very nice little patch I have there. I just planted a couple of them 20 years ago, and that's what you have after 20 years. Anyway, pond is not doing very well. Nope. Yeah, it seems slightly dehydrated, the water. Yeah. Has a lack of depth. I have to work on that. This is kind of a tick zone, but that's okay. It is really, really, this summer thing is kind of nice, and yeah, it's kind of funny. The evil neighbors were back. You know, they're supposed to have their junk out here. They still don't, but I guess they were getting some of their crap finally. But anyway, they were just here for a couple of hours, and it was just like, it was so awful because yeah, it was just like they're just making so much fucking noise. You know, and it's just like, wow, you know, it's just so nice when they're not here. Yeah, so not much else, just news. I was gonna, you know, I should have done a walk and talk. See, yeah, I mean, things get missed, you know, because I haven't been using the camera on the trips to the drudgery and such. And what was I going to say about that? You know, just because there hasn't been too much to say, so I haven't bothered making walk and talks. But it's, you know, today I should have been doing, you know, because the dog bit me. And it was just kind of, it wasn't bad, but it was just one of those things where, you know, it would have been nice to have, you know, it would have been entertaining, especially for the people who dislike me or something. you know, it didn't bite me bad. Like I said, just bit my hand, put, you know, a little dent in it, but it's not a big deal. Just snapped, you know, snapped. But it is just, you know, these people and their dogs, it just, you know, I mean, people just have migrated to they either go two ways, right? They have the little toy dog that's like a cat, or they have these monster dogs that are just, you know, out of control, disgusting, hideous, beastly, evil, nasty fucktards. You know, it's just, you know, the old dog where you could just, you know, they were just dogs. You know, as a kid, most dogs were just dogs. They weren't being attack dogs or something. But, you know, there was always dogs that are aggressive that needed to be on some sort of restraint. Yes, I used to deliver newspapers, so I did get bit a few times. I mean, it's just one of the occupational hazard kind of things. But yeah, I find it less and less acceptable as I age. Just because I think it's just because the dogs are getting more and more capable of really doing damage. Most dogs that bit me when I was a kid, you know, they just wanted to give you a message. They just wanted to say, I'm boss, this is my place, I'm going to bite you in the ass, and then I'll let go, and you can go about your business. And these dogs don't have that attitude. These dogs have this, nah, once I got my teeth into you, I'm probably going to chew a bit. So, but that's not really, people find it awful that I'm offending their dog ownership. So, whatever. Yeah, so that's probably enough. Yeah, I'll get up. Oh, oops, blue shorts are on. Yeah, stuff falls down. Anyway, yeah, just went for did my pool maintenance. Had my after pool maintenance swim and such. And, yeah, I planted these tomatoes here and they're just kind of sitting there. I haven't done much, and they really should. It's a very sunny location, but you know, whatever. They don't have to grow. It's not like I can order them to. But yeah, see, it's just it's not, you know, there's a little flower. Little flower. Some of these are actually pretty. These marigolds are coming out different ways, which is good. They're not all the same. I didn't think I'd get much variety, but it looks like I'm going to get some variety, which is good. So that'll be exciting. And yeah, the irises are doing. These came out, you know. These are just nice. These Japanese irises. Got to take some pictures. Just kind of a pleasant little flower. I do have to move them into a better location. I thought these would do better, but I guess they're getting blocked by something. I think it's the overhang of the tree. This would be a nice stream of them here, but it just didn't. They didn't come out very big. They're just kind of little. Well, I mean, you know, little, and they're not aggressively flowering. So, but you know, it's nice, and it's not bad. It's not a bad little border. I mean, I'll get this thing out of the way. Damn tire went flat. I mean, just bought that brand new tire. Really irritating. Chinese rubber. Whatever. They don't make things out of rubber anymore, do they? No, they don't. Anyway. So, I guess that's it. Not much else to say. I just got a ton of these petunias, but they just haven't flowered yet. These tomatoes are doing much bigger, much better. Have to cage them soon. So, that's all. Yeah. So, thank you very much for watching, and till the next video installment and such.